Hello people, this is Eldad Amara. Right, if you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe and share. Please like, comment, subscribe and share. The more people who share and like this video, then YouTube will share my video to a wider audience. Today, I'm going to be doing a video based on an analysis, of a reggae artist and singer by the name of Mutabaruka. Mutabaruka is also a social media critique. In a video by Mutabaruka, he talks about how African people do not accept other African people's spirituality or religion. Right, I'm going to just quickly kick off with this point. Right, listen to what Mutabaruka has to say.
I want to talk about something that we find very interesting and very ironical and very close-minded as it relates to how African people, especially people who in the Christian mindset, tend to look at other people's things as not valid. You know, a lot of us don't want to really study other people's spirituality, other people's religious belief, because we get so stuck in the Bible and we feel that the Bible is the beginning and end of it all. You know, we read some stories in the Bible that it's kind of really weird, but we still accept it as a reality, as a truth. Yet we're going to reach like African folk tales. You know, we tend not to want to see them as a reality, even though it's on the same line as these religious, biblical stories. But we tend to want to see them as, oh, it's just some little folk tale, or just something like that. I'll give you an example of it. You know, in the Bible, them have a snake attack, and them have a donkey attack, and them have a man who claims say him command the sun to stand still.
That's something that's quite ironic, that black people do not listen to each other when it comes to spirituality and religion, especially those who are caught up in the Bible, right? They use the Bible as a reference point, right? The Bible to them is valid and it's the truth. So they go to the Bible and they look into it and they use the Bible as a validation of truth, whilst rejecting other people's belief systems, and religion. For example, they believe that Adam and Eve truly existed, right? And that Eve actually spoke to a snake. Is this actually a fact? Did Eve actually talk to a snake? Some say it was a serpent. Whether it was a snake or whether it was a serpent, right? The whole story is, did Eve actually speak to a serpent or serpent-like creature? In order for Eve to be able to speak to a serpent, right, the serpent would have to have a voice box, it has to have a tongue, it has to be speaking the same language as Eve. Is that correct? All I want to know is the truth. Is this true? Did Eve speak to a serpent? And if she did speak to a serpent, right, what language were they speaking in? All I want to know is the truth. Is this true? Did Eve speak to a serpent? And if she did speak to a serpent, right, what language were they speaking in? Or was it telepathic? Did they communicate with each other telepathically? Did a snake have a voice box? Did he have a tongue to be able to speak to Eve? There's another story of a man by the name of Balaam in the Bible, and he spoke to a donkey or an ass. Is that true? Well, people of the Bible who believe in the Bible would say, yes, that story is true. This man Balaam did speak to a donkey or to an ass. This is in Numbers 22 in the Bible. A man called Balaam was talking to a donkey in Numbers 22. He smote an ass or a donkey 3 times. The donkey crushed Balaam's foot against a wall in a vineyard. Balaam smote her again. And the Lord opened the mouth of the ass, and she said unto Balaam, What have ye done unto thee, that thou hast smitten me these 3 times? And Balaam replied, This is in parts, I would, if there were a sword in my hand, I would kill thee. This is in Numbers 22 verse 28 and verse 29. Wow. So, a lot of Christians would say, yes, yeah, there was a donkey and a donkey spoke to Balaam, or an ass spoke to Balaam. Is this true? Is this true? There's a man by the name of Joshua in the Bible, right? And this is Joshua chapter 10. Joshua, right, was against the Amorites, yeah? He fought against the Amorite kings. Joshua fought for Israel. Joshua talked to the Lord God and asked the Lord God, right, to help him to smite the Amorites. Anyway, he was able to, this is Joshua, to stop the sun. Yeah, he was able to stop the sun and the moon. Right, these are heavenly bodies. Could a person stop the sun and the moon? Literally. Now, if this is not true, right, then it should be removed. It should be removed from the book. Is this a fact? Did Joshua manage to stop the sun from moving, for it to stand still? Which man has that kind of power to be able to do that? If this is just a story, right, I can't understand myself how somebody can say that this is literal. Did Joshua actually stop the sun? In the Ashanti kingdom, yeah, there was a spider that was called Anansi. Right, the spider apparently could talk. Now this is just folktale. Now if you was to turn around and say to someone who's a Christian or who believes in the Bible because they're very religious, they'd say, what a load of rubbish. This is what mutabaruka has to say about this point.
And them have a man who claims say him command the sun to stand still. Now, people see that as because it's in the Bible. Because it was not the Bible, they won't check it. Because it's not the Bible, them declare say it's a truth. Now, I could take a Brother Nancy story. Most of us know Brother Nancy. Brother Nancy is a spider, and it is the story come from the Ashanti kingdom. Now, nobody believes a spider talk. But in the folk tale of the Ashanti kingdom, Brother Nancy is really a cunning character in it, where people really, especially in Jamaica, we admire, but we see him as a criminal. Now, if I tell a Christian, say, a spider was stalking in the Ashanti kingdom, them look for me and laugh and go like me an idiot. But them look for you now and tell you say a snake attack, and you say, where you get that from? Them say it in the Bible. What kind of craziness is that? A spider attack in our Ashanti kingdom, which is not a reality, but is really a mythology, it's really a story, showing a certain perspective. Most Anansi stories is almost like parables. It's saying something to show you what is it in life you must deal with. But when we read the Bible stories, we tend to want to believe that them is real and them is something of value more than everybody else.
There are a lot of religious people who take the Bible literally. They do not see it as people speaking in parables. This is chapter 6 verse 4. It says, the sons of God came down to earth from heaven and had sex with the daughters of men. Did you hear me? the sons of God came down to earth from heaven and had sex with the daughters of men. If I was going to ask a Christian or someone who's very religious this question now, did giants exist? They said, what, if it's in the Bible? Yes, they did exist. But remember, these gods came down from heaven. So where is heaven? Where exactly is heaven? And if these beings come down from heaven, is it possible that they're aliens? No. I don't believe in aliens. No. Why would I believe in aliens? Well, these beings, these giants, these Nephilim, they came down from heaven to earth and had sex with the daughters of men. In order for them to have sex with the daughters of men, guess what? They would have to have the same anatomy to be able to have sex with the daughters of men. They'd have to have the same DNA, they'd have to have the same cells, yeah? They'd have to have the same chromosomes in order for them to come down from heaven and have sex with the daughters of men and produce babies. Some of them are giant. So is the story in the Bible, is it true or not? And all we want to know is the truth. See, people, as I say, from the Bible's perspective, will look at the Bible as their validation for truth. Yeah, for the validation for reasoning, for sound right reasoning. They go to the Bible and they literally believe every single thing in the Bible, and they don't think that, hang on a minute, this could be the stories or parables, yeah, used to try and explain situations or use as morals or principles. They take the story as literal. See, what I want to know as well is Christianity is about 2,000 years old, or can I say 2021 years old, yeah? But before Christ had come into the world, right, we're talking about BC, before Christ, right? So a lot of events happened before Christ. So I want to know, what were Africans practicing before the birth of Christ? We're practicing spirituality, yeah? They gave reverence to the stars, the moon, water, the earth, and all these things. This was before Christianity came into Africa, yeah? And Christianity came into Africa through Christian missionaries. Through these Christian missionaries who gave them the Bible and took away their land. Right? They were indoctrinated with this belief system of Christianity. But what were the Africans practicing before Christianity came into Africa? If you turn around now and say anything about Obia, yeah, you would be slated down. You see, in Africa, before Christianity came there, right, they were practicing things like Pocomania, yeah, and Obia, yeah, worshipping the stars, the moon, the sun, the wind, the earth, fire, all these elements. This was pre-Christianity, before the slave master and the Christian missionaries came into Africa, right, and indoctrinated a lot of people with this belief in Christianity and took away their land. Now, if you, as a black person who is a Christian, you would reject African spirituality, right, over this book, over the Bible. You would reject Obia, you would reject Pocomania, and other African traditional spiritual belief system. Again, listen to what Mutabaruka has to say.
But when we read the Bible stories, we tend to want to believe that them is real and them is something of value more than everybody else. Not only for Africans, not only for even my Rasta brethren them. Them never even look in at the Oladome, which is the Yoruba traditions, the Akan traditions. They not look into the Egyptian book of the dead, otherwise called the coming forth by day. They're not looking at the Bhagavad Gita, they're not looking at the sayings of Buddha and all these things. Because there's something in our mindset that tells us that if it is not Christian, if it is not biblical, it don't have no validation. Yet still, the Bible and the Old Testament story is 500, well, we say 500 BC. That means that before 500 BC, them never have no Bible. Yet till all of the stories them in the Bible tend to want to show you what was happening even before man make. Who is writing these stories? These men who was living, we could say 500 BC. How did they know that the earth was built in 6 days and this built before that and that built before that?
True thing. Who was writing these words? Who was writing these words and these scriptures before Christianity? Who was writing these words in the Bible? Mutabaruka has a very good point there. Very good point. Was it man or was it God writing these words? You see, a lot of African spirituality has now been demonized. It's been demonized, and people have turned now to Christianity over what was being practiced in Africa for centuries and centuries and centuries before Christianity arrived there. Now you've got Christianity and it's been practiced for centuries and centuries and from generation to generation. It's about time that people started analyzing this book. Is this book the literal truth, or is it a form of parables? Or is it a form of parables and allegories? Allegories are stories.
How did they know that the earth was built in 6 days and this built before that and that built before that? And then we come 5,000 years after, 5,000 years after. We claim now that these things is valid. How we get these things to be valid when there's no perspective? Because it's only in the Bible story you find, it's only in the Bible you find a way for these stories. How the hell a man command the sun to stand still? What kind of crazy talk is that? Joshua command the sun to stand still. The sun cannot move. Man, there's no word that man can say. There's nothing that man can do that make the sun move and then command it to stand still. This is just stories. It's stories to make the thing look like it's a bigger story than what all other stories is saying. A snake is talking to a woman. How the hell a snake work? What part of history? Where in history snakes were speaking? But we come to the understanding and we say, we keep repeating it, year in, year out, centuries out, and we keep repeating these so-called Jewish stories. That is not real. Even the story of Abraham. In Galatians, which is the New Testament, Paul, a writer to the Galatians, say, talk about the allegories of Abraham. You know what an allegory is? Allegory means it's just a story. It's not real. When somebody says something is an allegory, it means that it is just like a Brother Nancy story. It's really talking about something that leads to something else. And we, as African people, suck it all and don't understand, say, we cannot look at these stories as more valid than African tradition, African authentic elements that we now find ourselves in Jamaica and in most of the Caribbean, old pastor. You know, because people hear about voodoo and obia, and when we hear about Yoruba traditions and all these things, we demonize it. We demonize it. Yet still them have their drink the blood of Jesus.
The Bible based on true stories, or is it just allegories and parables? If it's the truth, then I love it. If it's the truth, then I love it. But if it's not the truth, then I need to question it, because my soul depends on it, and my soul depends on going to heaven. If this thing is not the truth, if it's not the truth, why should I accept it? Why should anybody accept it? Because your souls depend on it. If you like my video, please like, comment, subscribe and share. Eldad Amara.